Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my second episode of Cyber Threat Hunting. In this episode, we'll be going over back to the theory. In the first episode, we actually covered what is threat hunting, the basics of it, the life cycle, and now we understand what and how threat hunting works. So, we'll deep dive a bit to understand the types of threat hunting, different frameworks that you can utilize, and also what is a hypothesis and how you can build a good hypothesis, right? So we'll quickly get started. So as you can see on the screen, there are two types of threat hunting. I'll just focus here. One of them is structured, another one of them is unstructured. So the key difference between structured and unstructured is structured is a type of hunt where you understand what you are looking for, right? And this also means that you have a prioritization list, right? So when you understand what kind of threat you are looking for, what is the priority of it, what is the likelihood of it, and you are very clear with the specifics, you are actually performing a structured hunt. Now a simple example could be hunting for named ransomware, right? Now you could be hunting for any popular ransomware, but if you understand what you are looking for, what the behavior would be, what is the specifics of this ransomware, it's called a structured hunt. Similarly, the opposite of structured is unstructured, right? So here what you're doing is um, you are not specific, you don't have a prioritization list, so it's not specific. um, you are looking for threats and reacting to findings. For example, um, audit last 24 hours DNS records to find anything malicious or suspicious. Now, this is a kind of an unstructured hunt because you don't know what you're looking in the DNS records. It might be DGA, it might be DNS over HTTPS, it could be anything. But what you are doing is auditing the records to find if there is something suspicious, and you will react to anything that is malformed or is not as per your daily DNS records convention, right? This forms your unstructured hunting. Now, both of them are equally important. Unstructured hunting is when you want to understand what happened, you want to baseline your environment, want to pivot from an investigation, right? All of those lean towards unstructured hunting. Structured hunting form mission and form sprints in your hunting life cycle, right? When you are defining your hunting goals, structured hunting is something that you account for and you have already written, or you will define it in your schedule, right? So a combination of structured and unstructured is something that you will tend to follow most of the time, even though you would want to avoid unstructured hunting, but you will see that most of the time you will have to adhere back to unstructured hunting due to intelligence being not very clear, being vague, or you have some tip or hunch that this log source might be having some kind of a threat that the detections are missing. So you will generally do unstructured hunting there as well. A combination is very healthy, right? 70% of time you should be doing a structured hunt, 30% you should be targeting an unstructured, or you would be reserving your bandwidth to conduct an unstructured hunt, right? This is how the threat hunting types are divided. So, if we go down and try to understand the kind of threat hunting frameworks that are available or that could be readily utilized by you, these are the often three most referred hunting frameworks, and they all of these offer different ways how you basically integrate and prepare hunting. The first model is TAHiTI. It stands for Targeted Hunting, Integrating and Threat Intelligence. As you can understand from the full form, that it heavily focuses on intelligence. So what you tend to do is basically consume a lot of intelligence to devise and guide your threat hunting. So TAHiTI also has a supporting tool called Magma for threat hunting, that can be leveraged for supporting your hunts. It is a mostly a use case and an output management solution. So Magma for threat hunting is something that you can leverage if you're using TAHiTI. But for TAHiTI to work, you need a solid intelligence input. So organizations that have really good intelligence program or have really good intelligence products such as Recorded Future Mandiant or any popular intelligence platform that supports reports or provides you with reports and operational intelligence, TAHiTI would be a really good framework to operationalize into. Following this, you have Peak, but before Peak, let's talk about Sqrrl. Sqrrl was an independent company that got acquired by Amazon, and a lot of the foundational work was for threat hunting was done at Sqrrl, which later were really popular. Sqrrl laid down the actual threat hunting framework and the life cycle along with a lot of good readable documentation. So Sqrrl follows or actually gave a iterative threat hunting model. What it means is you keep on building hypotheses, verifying, testing, and so on and so forth. So if I had to just go back and show you how Sqrrl did it, I will just open a new window here and let us search Sqrrl threat hunting. So now the company got acquired by Amazon. The website has an archive tag to it, but it has an amazing reading list, right? All of these is something that you can read on and build your foundation. These are really good. It's a really good collection of basically reads on threat hunting. Using this, if you just focus here, the project member says David J. Bianco. Why I'm asking you to focus here on David J. Bianco is something that will refer on Peak. But if you go to reading list, it has more reading list, books, resources that you can actually use. If you go to the Sqrrl archive, these are the blog posts. If you go to Sqrrl hunting platform, this platform was available for a small time, but then is now not available. Let us do a new tab and search for Sqrrl threat hunting framework. And if you click on the first link, that is a PDF, a framework for cyber threat hunting. This is where you will land up. And if you go to the first page of this document, you will see there is a hunting maturity model listed. And if you go down, there is a threat hunting loop, the actual life cycle that the model suggests. So you create hypothesis, you investigate via tools and techniques, uncover new TTPs patterns or malicious activity, whatever you are hunting for. You inform and enrich your analytics. Whatever queries, hunts you have written, you improve them or automate them, and then you keep on doing this. So this is the model that was actually listed or suggested by the Sqrrl threat hunting framework. It also gives you a maturity model in what stage, what phases you should be completing. It's a really good start if you want to, if you're new to threat hunting and building a threat hunting framework. And then there is a screenshot of the image. It's a really good read. Lot of foundational knowledge is consisted here. So this white paper is something that I would recommend for you to actually go and spend some time on. Coming back, since we understand Sqrrl got acquired by Amazon. We just saw David J. Bianco's name on the Sqrrl website, right? If you go back, you see project members David J. Bianco. Now, David J. Bianco moved on and is currently part of Splunk, where he developed this framework called Peak. Now, Peak is just a modified framework from Sqrrl. it says prepare, execute, and act with knowledge. But what peak offers extra is basically uh, something that they call it as math. Math stands for model assisted threat hunting. So just with all the threat hunting ideas and hypotheses, and what it also suggests is use models for anomaly detection, outlier detection, use AI frameworks, so that most of your detection are in, or most of your hunting are basically model assisted. Now you could understand math generally falls into unstructured type of hunting, but if you are very sure about the analytics, or very sure about the machine learning model that you're writing is to detect a very specific thing, it might fall into unstructured hunting as well. But it's generally an unstructured hunting where this math could be deployed into or categorized into. So these are the top three frameworks that generally people will start off or will learn about or adapt to before moving and customizing it to your organization's need. No threat hunting framework is a complete, solid, adaptable, 100% golden thing. There's no such thing, right? You need to take a framework, adopt it, see shortcomings, see where you can tweak it, what are the issues with it in your organization, does your organization accepts it, is mature enough to accept it, or mature enough, one more mature than what model offers, right? So based on this you will tweak it and then try to absorb it. So basis this threat hunting frameworks, one thing that we realized is, no matter what model you follow, there's one common step in it, right? And we discussed about this in the last video as well. The most common step that you will be doing no matter what you do is basically defining a hypothesis, right? This keyword is very important. Now hypothesis is important for us uh, because this forms the basis of what to test, right? But let us understand how this hypothesis came into origin and where it is coming from. So let us search a bit. If I go back to the browser and do a new tab and search for structured intelligence analysis, there is a document that comes at the top. It's at cia.gov, a tradecraft primer. If you click on this document, you would realize that some widely used in private sector and academia, these are structured analytical techniques for analyzing intelligence problems, and people who are in intelligence profession do use it in their day-to-day job. If you scroll down, you can see there is a table of content, and if you focus on the first set of techniques, diagnostic techniques, there is a technique mentioned, analysis of competing hypothesis, on page 14. So let us quickly go there. Right, this is the one. Analysis of competing hypothesis, identification of alternative explanations, and evaluation of all evidence that will disconfirm rather than confirm hypothesis, right? This is the actual intelligence technique from where the whole notion of cyber threat hunting is derived from. So this principle actually, or this technique actually governs the threat hunting model that we follow or anybody follows. So what we are actually doing is not hunting, but threat hunting is equivalent to analysis of competing hypothesis, right? Now what does it mean? It means that we devise up a hypothesis and go on to test, right? If you go back to the documentation, you will realize identification of alternative explanations. So basically we take up a hypothesis and evaluation of all evidence. We search for all the evidence that will disconfirm it rather than confirm it. So our notion is to actually disconfirm it. We want this to be not happening. That so your hypothesis is devised in a way where attack is actually supposed to be happening. That is where you can disconfirm it. If you suppose your attack is not happening, and if you disconfirm it, that means the attack is actually happening. So, and that way it doesn't work, right? You must be assuming a hypothesis that could be disconfirmed. That means you assume a hypothesis where an attack is happening, you disconfirm it rather than confirming it. So this is how we will do threat hunting. And if you read this paper, it's really good. If you read these first two pages, from page 14 and 15, you will realize this is how to implement or conduct a threat hunt, right? So, but coming back, hypothesis, right? You assume and build a hypothesis. Sounds too easy to be true, right? But it's very difficult to assume a really good hypothesis, mostly because there are a lot of variables that are involved in defining a hypothesis. It is an assumption, right? So it could be anything. So there's too much randomness to be assumed. So while defining a hypothesis as a security engineer or an analyst or a detection engineer or a threat hunter, what you should keep in mind is our core area of focus is security. So your hypothesis could be governed by the kind of log sources that you have, right? Log sources that you have could be also governed by the kind of threats that you daily see, But all of these are still variable. How to actually fix this? Now, uh, if you think a bit, you will realize everything that is consisted of with us as knowledge can be processed as intelligence, right? Most of the people will derive their hypotheses from their past experiences. What does it mean? I have investigated a ransomware attack, so I understand how this ransomware attack will look like. So this experience might be there with me for an organization ABC where I used to work. Now I have joined XYZ. So since I understand the attack pattern, I can go and test pattern in my log, search for the same, and figure out if there is a threat or not. So I've used my past experience. But past experience, when noted down, becomes actually intelligence, right? So we'll see how all of that converges. But good ways to actually start your hypothesis is you must or might have domain expertise. That means you understand or have dealt with this kind of threat, and you are using the same knowledge to conduct a new hunt for it, right? Another way to generate a hypothesis is basically your cyber threat intelligence. Cyber threat intelligence, you take operational intelligence and drive your hunts. Another way is your situational awareness. You basically hunt what is relevant. So let us take one example in each one of these sections. Domain expertise, as I mentioned, you have investigated a ransomware case earlier. So now you understand how you want to actually hunt for that same ransomware in a different environment, or again test your environment against it. Cyber threat intelligence means I might have received an intelligence report for say APT1, and I now want to convert it into actionable hunts that I want to conduct in my environment. Hunting for situational awareness would look like an organization in similar sector as me and in similar geolocation is getting compromised by or attacked by threat actor A. So we should also look for compromises of threat actor A in our environment and test it, right? So this is how you actually build your hypothesis, though there are three ways how you can generate it. Now, if you think about it, all of them are still converging from intelligence, right? Because threat in domain expertise is still your human intelligence that you are carrying with you. Cyber threat intelligence are operational intelligence reports that you might be receiving from n number of sources. Situational awareness is still an intelligence because company of same origin or same sector getting attacked in the same geolocation is an intelligent information, and that's this intelligence is something that you're taking and then converting into your hands, so you're still using intelligence. So if I had to just summarize, all your hypothesis is basically an output of proper intelligence. Now this intelligence could be anything, it could be cyber, it could be situational, anything, but it's still output of proper intelligence, right? Or let's say intelligence. Now this is how you actually generate hypothesis. Now you would want to have more details around this knowledge base, so I'll show you where you can get the actual paper form. If you're building hypothesis, sans white paper, generating hypothesis for successful threat hunting, this is the one that you want. Click on this. Again, written by David Bianco. You just click on download, and this is the paper that actually outlines all the things that we talked about: friendly threat intelligence, situational awareness, domain expertise, how to drive your hypothesis using intelligence. And then there is a really cool example given that will help you understand how to actually form this. Then we have, if you keep on going, then you have situational awareness. um, cr- Situational awareness could also mean crown jewel analysis portion of it, right? Because now you have, say, really important databases that you want to protect in your organization. Now this information can be used to craft your defenses or hunts around those jewels, right? So crown jewel analysis is a really good process and should be done or while you're baselining your environment or preparing your hunting program, so that you know what to protect with how much criticality. And then there is a hypothesis that could be understood from here, that how it is drafted from situational awareness, right? And at last there is domain expertise. This is again a really good paper that I would recommend everybody to go and read. This will actually help you understand how to form a hypothesis because there are really good real life examples. Also there are really good references. If you see, diamond model is referred, intelligence reports are referred. I would recommend, if you have time, go and spend on these reports as well. Coming back to the last type of threat hunt is math. Right now you would be asking, how do I generate a hypothesis for model assisted threat hunting? It's the similar process, right? But the hunt technique is different. For example, you are hunting for DGA domains, right? Now this domain generating algorithms are a bit tricky in nature to detect, because the domain that is generated doesn't is basically a malformed kind of a domain and is very difficult to read. So you could go ahead and configure a model that detects any non-readable combination of characters that is found in the DNS logs, right? Now this model will keep on generating anomalies. You can conform and tune your model basis if it is a true positive or a false positive. But this is how a model or an algorithm can help you generate some kind of a threat, right? So hunting DJ domains is could be easily achieved by doing DGA. Right, so you can also do more of these kind of hunts where AI and ML is assisting you. For example, outliers in user file download pattern for exfiltration, right? You could do this kind of a hunt to understand if there is a change in file download pattern of a user. Could be indicative of exfiltration or could be a false positive, but at least you will have hits and understand how the pattern is changing in an environment, or how the trend is changing in your environment, right? You can keep on doing these kind of, or configuring these kind of hunts if you have an ML based engine or AI engine that enables you to write these kind of rules. We will wrap it up here today. So what we have actually talked about is basically the types of hunting, the kind of hunting frameworks that are available, and the kind of hypotheses, how to build a good hypothesis, the actual source where the threat hunting is derived from, and how you can build intelligence, and how you can build intelligent and really good hypotheses there. And we have also seen some good internet resources that you would want to go ahead and read, so that you build the context and foundational knowledge around cyber threat hunting. That will be all for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Do like and subscribe.